Welcome to Where Passion Meets Purpose. I'm your host, Jen Mentasana. On this show, we help busy moms and entrepreneurs find more passion and purpose in their daily lives through inspiring stories and interviews. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Where Passion Meets Purpose. Today, I am interviewing podcast guru Adam Merino. I am so excited to have him on the show. He is basically a dinosaur in the podcast arena. I can't wait for him to tell you all about that. But he's also an entrepreneur, has started many businesses, and he is going to help you take the steps that you need to dive into your entrepreneurship journey and help you, get rid of all those limiting beliefs and dive into what is possible. So, Adam, without further ado, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Always good to hang out with you, Jen. Love it.
Same. Love having you. You always make me laugh. We have a good time together. So, hope our listeners get to enjoy a little bit of that banter too.
Right.
So, without diving in too deep, I did want to take you back a little bit and hear about your journey even before you got into podcasting. What started your entrepreneurship journey?
So I gotta say a little bit if you guys remember the movie The Matrix, where Keanu Reeves never quite felt right and he knew like there's something else going on here. Well,
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of how I felt. Like when I had these 9 to 5 jobs or working for the man or Woe Man or whoever it was, I just felt like, I don't know, man, there's something going on in my veins that this doesn't feel right. I'm in the matrix or something. Like I'm not where I'm supposed to be. There's something else. I need to be answering to myself. And once I got pushed a little bit where someone said one day, you can't work here anymore. That's all it takes is sometimes getting fired
Yep.
or just saying, hey, this isn't working out. It's not you, but hey, we didn't budget correctly or whatever this position you can't really fill it anymore. That was kind of really what happened. I was selling insurance. I sold all kinds of insurance, from health insurance, life insurance, your homeowner's insurance, like whatever. I was licensed in everything. Which by the way took 7 tries, meaning I failed the test to do that like
Wow.
over 6 times. So that's already something that you should know about me, is that like, nope, if I set my mind to doing something, like I don't care how many times I
So
fail
you
at it.
already have that inclination, that entrepreneur's gift of just keep going for it and pushing forward and pushing forward. So even
I
when it's down the
suppose,
path that
yes.
you shouldn't be going down, you're still going to go
Right.
for it.
Was that stupidity or I don't know, but yeah, I do have that like, nope, you're not telling me I can't do this,
Right.
because if this is something that I truly feel that God has put in front of me to do, then all that means is that I've learned 6 ways to not do it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm still learning, and I didn't enjoy that process as much, but that's also because again, I was working for the man. I wasn't working for myself.
Right.
And so it's way different when you do it yourself. And once you find something that you fall in love with and you know you want to do it, it's lights out. You
Yeah.
you
And I
can
think
just
that's the thing to tap into is that, when that click happens, intuitively that you're on the right path. And sometimes it takes doing something over and over and over again that isn't working for you to find that.
100%. And again, the thing about being an entrepreneur is whether you're in the beginning of your journey or you're 50 years in, I think the underlying theme is it's definitely not what it's cracked up to be, in that every day is not going to go the way that you think it's going to go. And so because of that, that's the outlier. That's as if I'm talking about a movie but I'm not giving away the plot. If I say that, I'm not giving away the plot. That's obvious. That's like no-brainer stuff, right? So, if that is the case and that is the benchmark, then what you have to understand is if you don't truly love the thing that you're doing. So, I have an example that I want to share. My buddy, my close friend, he was homeless living in Los Angeles about 2 years ago. He's from Houston originally. He moved to Indiana where I live, and he started a roofing company in November of 2023. And get this, this is crazy. On Craigslist, he put that he's looking for a business partner. He knows about roofing and wants to start. And someone reached out, a student at the local college here, and said, "Hey, I'd love to meet." And then blah, 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 boom, they're business partners now.
Wow.
Now, here's the thing that he mentioned. His partner is not passionate about roofing the way that my buddy is. And wouldn't you know it, they are butting heads over, he can't get the guy to go to certain meetings or get up on a roof, and because he's simply not passionate about roofing. He thought, he's a 24-year-old kid
Mm-hmm.
just out of college, he thought, well, I want to own a business,
Right.
and I'll answer this Craigslist ad. But where he's running into trouble is he's not passionate about roofs. He might be passionate about working for himself, but the reason why it's going downhill a little bit and the struggles that my buddy has is because his partner is not passionate the way that he is about roofing.
Right.
Now, I don't think most of your listeners own a roofing company, but what I'm saying is if they're not passionate about roofs, they better not own a roofing
Right.
company. It's just, that's
Well,
huge.
it's so true. And I have to say, I have some friends and probably listeners who are owning businesses that they stepped into because it was handed to them by their parents, or it's something that they just accidentally got into. And while they have all the tools to be entrepreneurs and they love working for themselves and they love the lifestyle and the flexibility, they're not passionate about what it is that they're doing. And
And you
it
can
doesn't
do it. You can.
Yes, exactly. And you have to have that joy or it's not sustainable. And this is the kind of thing that I'm talking with all of my coaching clients about right now. And, the workshops that I do, it's all about, yes, you can go and make money. Go make money and build a business. But if you don't love what you do every day, it is not going to be sustainable. And that's, I mean, people who've listened to my initial episode will hear my story about stepping into entrepreneurship through my husband's dream, through being in the restaurant industry, and through, it gave me a lot of tools and tricks. But my journey was waking up one day and realizing I wasn't passionate about what we were doing. And yes, I love people and I loved the journey of doing it, but you have to live in that joy or you're really not going to find that passion and purpose that you want every day. And it makes a difference in terms of getting up out of bed every morning and loving what you do, and then bringing that home to your family or your friends or whatever it is that you're doing. So I'm so glad that you brought that up about having passion. So tell me a little bit more about you, though. How did you step into what it is that you're doing and having passion in what you do?
So I stepped into it because I truly am passionate about it. I didn't know in 2016 when I started podcasting that I would love it to the extent that I do. I didn't know that, but in the same way, the first time you try to dribble a basketball and it goes well or it doesn't go well, and you just learn, wow, I'm passionate about this and I want to get better, right? Well, that's what it was like. I didn't know that I would really fall in love with it, but I've always been a coach. I've coached basketball for 12 years, and there's something to be said about instructing someone to do XYZ. They carry it out the way that you go over it, and then you sit back and watch them do it, and it's successful. There is no other, and I'm not a parent. And so I don't have any children. And so when I would coach these young kids, we would go over XYZ. Okay, you do this, you set the screen, this guy will catch it, and then you do this, and this guy will be wide open. I promise. In a game, that person will be wide open. And then sure enough, we play a game and that guy was wide
Mm,
open, who I said would be.
yeah,
And they throw it to him and he makes a layup. And it's like they don't look at their parents, they don't look at their teammates. When that happened, they look right at me.
yeah.
Because we're the ones that put the work in, right? And there's no cooler feeling. Well, I got to be honest, Jen, I have that with you.
Mm,
When I coach you on where to put call to actions and how we want to put the music in at the beginning of this episode, how the music comes in. I love hearing that because that we went over that, right? And so these are things that I've always loved. Now you pair that with underwater basket weaving. I don't care what it is. You pair it with anything that you enjoy. If you're a coach at heart, then you just slide right into whatever your niche is. And mine is podcasting. It just happens to be podcasting.
Yeah, so your
So
niche is podcasting and you're very good at it, obviously, and you have that great cadence in your voice, and you have all these like what I call external gifts, right? But the internal gift really is this gift that you have, not just to be a good podcaster, but also to teach it, to coach it, and to listen and to guide. And that's something innate that you have. And I think for our listeners, I'd love for you to speak about like how you've been able to tap into that gift, because you just gave that example of coaching kids playing basketball, but there's something innate that you have. How did you know how to tap into that gift, whether it's coaching kids or coaching, a podcast, someone who's launching a podcast like me, and help me get through those roadblocks and all that? How did you know that you had that innate gift?
well, I'll be honest. As I hear you ask that question, I apologize. You're talking to the wrong person. You'll have to talk to my parents because
Yeah, that's nice that you give them
I
credit for
learned.
that.
Well, um I'll take some credit and I'll say I'm an only child because we got it right the first time. They didn't need anybody else, because I was so amazing. But no, I truly, there are some things that you are just good at based on you are your parents' child. And I'm very, very blessed to be a people person, loving people. Grew up, my dad is a pastor, retired pastor slash called back at his church again. So he's working back
Wow.
at his church now at 71. And so I grew up. He was planting churches. He started schools. We lived overseas in Slovakia. It's hard to see that and then be like, well, I'm going to be a Scrooge and I'm going to be a mean person. Like, I mean, I don't. I mean, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. It's any testament that you want to give to me, you're going to have to give to them because I truly am a product of my folks and they are truly great people. And so anything great that you have to say about me, you just have to go ahead and thank them for raising me. I mean, I really don't know how to answer like, oh, where did you learn? Where did you get this?
Hmm.
Where, like, I don't know. I've always been that way.
Yeah.
My parents have told me that growing up, 1993, we moved to to the neighborhood that we still live in. I live just a few houses down from my folks, which is just coincidence. We bought my buddy's house, and it just happened to be in the same street. Well, when we moved, I was 12 years old, and at 12 years old, I was coaching the 8-year-olds. I'm only 4 years older than them, and I'm all-time quarterback for them to play football. If we had an even number of kids and then there was me, I just said, well, I'll just be quarterback and I'll get everyone the ball. At 12 years old,
Wow.
I'm doing this instead of being selfish and just wanting to play or find bigger kids to play with. I was finding the younger kids and making sure they set up the game right and they didn't fight and all that. And looking back, I didn't think much of it. That was a blast for me. But at 12 years old, I'm coaching.
Right,
So
which is really
now,
awesome. And for our listeners, I think important to pay attention to. I say this a lot to my clients. What was it that you loved to do when you were 6, 7, 8, 9, 10? What were the things that gave you the most joy? Tap back into that part of yourself, because
great point.
we were
Yeah.
all given, I believe, through our parents, a higher power, God, the universe, whatever it is that you believe, these innate
Hmm.
talents and gifts. And those are the things that you really do need to tap into, to help you find your joy and your purpose in this lifetime. And you're definitely using those things from the time you were a kid, you were coaching, and here you are, and you've turned it into a business. And it's pretty amazing to, the more and more I talk to people, the entrepreneurs, they tap into what it is that they were given at a very early age. And that's what gives them the power to push them forward in entrepreneurship.
So huge. And this is a perfect opportunity that I will coach you on as you're my client. I'm not going to let you get away, even as I'm on your
Love it.
podcast. Is I have to tell your listeners that if you have found value just in this already short time, and we're not done yet, but you have to go and seek out Jen because her heart is huge. I like the phrase "takes one to know
Mm.
one," and I truly do feel that because I'm uh my parents' son, that I have a big heart. But again, that comes from them. So I'm not bragging on me, I'm bragging on them. But takes one to know one. So when I think that I have a big heart and I come across someone like Jen that I can tell, okay, she has a big heart as well. And so she really is trying to help. She's made mistakes along the way and she wants to make sure that you don't have to repeat them. And so she's making a blueprint for you to go over things with your business. So make sure in the description of this podcast, the show notes, that you click and find her because she wants to work with you, she wants to help you, she wants to laugh with you, cry with you, all that stuff. That is who she is. And just simply, if you have questions on a podcast, then the link is there for me as well and I can answer any questions. But hit up Jen for sure.
Oh, Adam, that's so sweet. I this is totally off the cuff, and I appreciate the plug. I do. I love connecting with people, and especially if I can give any guidance on, finding your passion and your purpose. That's my purpose. So I do love doing that, and thank you for that. I have to add, there was something when we initially met. We connected through a mastermind group that I'm in with the amazing Amberly Lago and her group of ladies who I'm so fortunate to be a part of her tribe. And there was something about you when you came and spoke to our group. I was just like, I gotta know this guy. I mean, yes, I'm starting a podcast, and yes, but
He's so
it's
weird. I
so
gotta.
weird. And I just feel like there's always divine intervention in things, at least for me, and that's how I move forward in life. I feel connection to someone, and I go, I gotta have that conversation with them. There's something about this that's going to guide me down a path that I want to go down, and I think that's something that people should really pay attention to. I call it breadcrumbs. Thinking about that being the title for my first book. We'll talk about that too. But um,
Okay.
anyway, that's another future conversation and podcast.
Love it.
But
Yeah.
yeah, there was something about you, and I think that I knew early on that you were going to be someone that could just really teach our listeners a lot about entrepreneurship and finding your passion and podcasting and so many things, because I think in today's world, there's a lot of distractions and there's a lot of different things that you can learn online. And it gets a little overwhelming. And sometimes just finding that one person that can guide you through it makes all the noise go away. And that's what you do for me, and that's what you've done for me. Is I tried to do it on my own, and I said, this is too much for me. Technology is getting overwhelming, not my strong suit. I'm going to go find a person that can help guide me through that, and that's been you. So I'm really grateful.
I love hearing that. And there's something that I want to piggyback on that just came to me as you were saying that you were looking for someone that can help you. Like basically there are three people that I think you should always be working with or be alongside of. And the first person is someone like myself or an Amberly who is who has a little bit more knowledge than you in some aspect,
Yes.
not all aspects. I look up to you in many ways, but I understand in starting a podcast realm and getting that going and all that. I get that I'm a little bit up here, and so you were looking upwards to me. I get that, right? So that's the one person. The second person that you should be involved with is who is in your foxhole that you're in the trenches with, that is right there with you. So I want you to join Facebook groups of women who have recently started a podcast, or get with those girls that are in where we first met, right? In that mastermind. There are other ladies there who are in the same realm as you, who are kind of getting through things and starting a podcast, or are 10 episodes in, 15, or haven't quite started. They're all in that realm. Well, you're already doing that. That's great. But that's the second person.
Yeah.
Now, here's the third. The third person that you should be involved with is maybe someone not quite in your mastermind yet, but someone who you know is below. Who is someone that looks up to you,
Mhm.
saying, "Oh my gosh, Jen, you already have launched this podcast. You've already done this and this." Okay, bring them up and teach them a couple things. If they're starting a podcast, say, Make sure that you get launched on Apple because that may take a while and you want to get that done. Well, that's something that I've taught you. So now you teach it,
Yes.
right? So the three people are Amberly is above you, someone that's right there, you know who it would be, right there
Yep.
with you. And then you probably have someone that comes to mind that's not being disrespectful, but just saying they're below you in that they have not accomplished what you have yet and they'd like to.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
That's such great advice, and it I look at it like everyone needs a mentor, right? Like that's first and foremost. If you're going to be in the world of entrepreneurship, get a mentor. That is so important. It is the easiest way to break through all of the barriers that are holding you back from even getting started. The first thing you should do is get a mentor, right? Because hey, I want to become an entrepreneur. I want to work for myself. I think I have an idea. How can I, what is the best way I can first put myself out there? A mentor can guide you through those first early stages of getting past the friction and all of the chaos and all of the noise and help you get focused. And then I agree, having that person that you're in the trenches with that you can kind of say, hey, what are you doing? I'm doing this. How's that working for you? Let's swap. Let's be guests on each other's podcasts. Let's help each other grow, right? There's that person too. Now, you mentioning this third person, I haven't thought about before, but that's super interesting. And finding someone that you can help along the way. And that is really, I actually started my own little mini mastermind that I call meet and greets. And I bring women into my home once a month. And sometimes it's at someone else's place of business where we come together and we just support each other. It's not about networking, although networking happens. It's also about
Yeah.
supporting each other, going through our journeys together, listening to each other's stories, how we can help one person go through something that maybe we've gone through before, sharing ideas. It is so rewarding to be in a group with people who are going through the same thing that you are or have been going through something that you haven't, and hearing their stories and just supporting each other down the road of entrepreneurship. It is so rewarding. And I am definitely open to helping anyone out there who's struggling to figure out what their next step is, or maybe they're having a hard time on social media, which, trust me, I've been down that road too. So I have to say, pulling in your people, surrounding yourself with a group of people that is going through what you're going through is so important. And because entrepreneurship can be lonely, it can be definitely this journey where some days you're sitting there, you haven't talked to a single person all day long, and you need someone to bounce ideas off of. So find your people. That is so important. And thank you for
I
saying
think
that.
that meet and greet could be huge for you because to be honest, you could find all three people right there.
Yeah.
All three people that I mentioned will be at that meet and greet.
Yep.
And you just got to sit back sometimes and they'll be shown to you
Yes.
of who they
And
are.
exactly. And they'll help. And everyone, that's my hope, is that everyone that comes to these meet and greets will find those three people there. Right. We've already made connections with people who would have never been connected before. And now we're finding, similarities in their business models and things like that. And they're helping each other out. So it truly is, in my opinion, one of the best ways to get through the initial stages of, barriers of becoming an entrepreneur, and just all the challenges that you go through. So I love it. I love making connections. That's what it's about for me. So,
Same.
Adam, anything else you can tell our listeners about your story or your journey that you think might help them um, break through
I
barriers,
think
or address challenges?
there's there's a couple things that I would want all entrepreneurs, whether they're just thinking about becoming or they've been doing it for 50 years, is to remember that the day will not go the way that you expect it to, actually 51% of the time. So that means more often than not, it's not going to go where Tuesday at 10 a.m. you're supposed to meet the electrician to check on this. That's not going to go. It's going to go awry because he's not going to be there till 10:17, which pushes back everything else. And now dinner's late or whatever it is. And if that's already the given, then what can your mindset be knowing that that's the case? Can you change the fact that he was 17 minutes late or 13 minutes late. You cannot,
Mhm.
but you can control how you're going to react, and you can work on thinking on your feet. It happens the more you go through it.
Yes.
Your third year of being an entrepreneur is going to be different than your first year, because these curveballs that come at you, you'll be not only able to handle them because you've done it 11 times before, but you're almost expecting it. And if you don't feel like you're in the groove, just remember, I don't know if you'll ever feel in the groove.
Mhm.
And remember that it's not about the destination that you're trying to get to. If you're an entrepreneur that opens up a pizza shop and the goal is to have 10 shops, that it's not about having 10 shops. It's what you've learned 1 through 9. What did you learn about yourself? What did you
Absolutely.
learn about people? What kind of a mom were you to your children during those 9 stores that you opened? What relationships have failed, and what were the reasoning behind it? Was it your fault deep down? Was it? What did you learn? I think it's more about those things than you being able to just cross your arms and say, well, I opened my 10th store. It's not about that. It's about all that, that encompasses that. And sometimes, whether you've been an entrepreneur for 95 seconds or 95 years, no matter what, you kind of forget that. And so I just want to encourage you, if you're listening, to just remember that, and that there's plenty of support here. Plenty.
Yes.
So again, click the link, talk to Jen, because she understands that better than most, and she wants to help.
Thank
And if
you
you want to
for
start a podcast, you can click my link too.
Yes, of course you have to click Adam's as well. Thank you for saying that, Adam. That is such a good way to kind of wrap up this conversation, because there is no such thing. And I think we all at this point probably know this in life, as perfection. And it took me a long time to learn that you're going to have days that are going to go so amazing, and you're in the flow and you're feeling it and you're like, yes, I've got this. And sure enough, the next day or the next Monday or the next Tuesday, everything's going to go awry. And that is just the nature of not only entrepreneurship, but life. So it's not about
Life.
what happens, but how you handle it and how you
Exactly.
choose to still stay in that joy of what you do every day, regardless of how your day goes. And I think that's
Love it.
just such a poignant lesson to point out for all those who are thinking about entrepreneurship, who are living in it today. And thank you for making that, a good point to our listeners. So this has been such an amazing conversation, Adam. I can't thank you enough for being on the show, for all your support and everything you've done for me up to this point, and we'll continue. We're not going anywhere. Our little
Right.
relationship is just taking off. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you all for listening. Please tune in, follow me, share this episode if you feel it could help anyone that you know, and all the ways to connect with me, email me, everything will be in the show notes. Thanks so much. Thank you again for listening to Where Passion Meets Purpose. If you're enjoying this show, please subscribe and download it so you don't miss an episode every single week. And if you think you have a friend who might benefit from listening, please share it with them as well. If you'd like to contact me, you can always reach me through email on my website at jenmentasana.com and my social media, Jen_Mentasana. And you can DM me there and I'll always respond, and we can connect about topics on the show or anything else you'd like to discuss. Thanks again for tuning in.